all across America. Talk radio and the voices of freedom.
Don't stop talking, don't stop sharing, don't stop laughing, don't stop caring. As long as you've got a voice, don't ever stop.
Oh, that's right. We're now live on Facebook. We're live on the radio. I'm alive today, so things are good. Things are good. All right, I've got some great stories to share with you now. Let's see if we can get started with this. It's going to be hard for me to recreate where I was. I was in a zone, and now I got to recreate it. Okay, that's what a professional does, Ann. That's what a professional does. Recreate it. Okay. All right. Well, let's see. We got several stories here. I think I'll save the sex story till the end. What? A sex story? Or lack of it. Anyways, we'll be talking about that a little bit later. We've got a story about Andre Bauer has decided to challenge Lindsey Graham. Have you heard about that one? Have you heard about that one? That one I think is pretty interesting. So I want to talk about that one. Of course, I was just mentioning about the Burton Center school bus that caught on fire that was transporting people from Burton Center, and they got them all off the bus, and the school bus driver, the Burton Center driver, what a great job when it caught on fire. She got them out of the bus with no incident at all. So that was pretty huge right here in our community. So that's one thing that I think is worthy of talking about. Also, there's some new South Carolina laws take effect yesterday, including blue crab regulations and public school restroom rules. So that's an interesting story we may get to. And this one is the one that I really like. Those South Carolina state agencies have been told to alert the governor's office when lawmakers make spending requests. Does this sound odd to you? Does this sound odd? It sounds a little odd to me, okay? But this is what they have been told. Governor Henry McMaster told South Carolina agencies' heads they must report directly back to his office if any of the state's 170 legislators attempt to influence how departments spend money allocated for one-time purpose to their budgets. Is this saying that people might try to do a workaround since there were no earmarks in the budget? I mean, what are they talking about? McMaster issued an 8-page executive order on June 25th that his office said it designed to ensure transparency around State House decisions to grow some agency budgets. But observers say it could also serve as a check on covert efforts by lawmakers to hide funding for pet initiatives in obscure line items of the budget. So far, no lawmakers are known to have made such a call or sent a letter or email, according to McMaster's spokesperson. But the note is also seen as further inserting the executive branch into what is traditionally considered a purview of the General Assembly, drafting and passing the state's annual plan. Outside, government watchers praised the letter. The perception of corruption is bad enough, even if it's not necessarily going on, South Carolina's Policy Council Research Director Sam Aaron, who has long been critical of earmark and other shadowy legislative spending. If you have a system that promotes the perception of corruption, you have to tighten that up. If the lawmakers aren't going to be accountable, then making the agencies tell you what they're doing, I think that's a pretty reasonable request. And it says, is this new? This proposal is not without precedent. Before earmarks, those specified lawmaker spending favorites were eliminated under the lead of Senate bill writers in this year's budget. McMaster issued a series of executive orders beginning several years ago requiring lawmakers to submit a formal written application to the governor's office when applying for one-time earmark dollars. That change was meant to ensure that state dollars were spent wisely, or at least in the light of the day. But this from McMaster goes one step further, requiring state agencies to report to the governor's office directly if a member of the legislature contacts them purporting to demand, instruct, request, suggest, or encourage an agency to spend money they receive in a certain way. Observers see the shift as a means of eliminating so-called backdoor earmarks in the state budget. What do you think about that? What do you think about that? I find this highly... Well, let's just say there's not much trust there, is there? That's right. The governor's office doesn't believe that the legislators will act right. What are they, children, that we can't trust them to do what's right? I mean, after all, there were no earmarks in this budget, so what are these? Kind of makes it like our legislators are kind of slimy, doesn't it? That's what I get out of it. We have slimy legislators that would go and try to bamboozle the department heads to giving them money for their area. I find this very interesting. Very, very interesting. It says if there's something in the budget where it's not clear to the state agency on what the money should be used for, we just want to make it clear that they're getting the information. But this really puts the onus on the legislators not to try to ask for anything special. And so I just thought that you might find that most interesting this morning, because if we do not, I guess he feels, I told you we weren't going to do any earmarks, and now I'm really serious about it. So there you go. This is something that I just found kind of hilarious when I was perusing the news. And what do you think? 864-229-7984. Do you find this as the way adults should be treated? One of our texters says it honestly raises eyebrows that were not raised yesterday for me. If he does not trust them, why should we? I know. Isn't that crazy? I think it's crazy that that's how he views our legislators. And what will the next governor do? I think that's the question. How will things run? We still have another year, with Henry McMaster as our governor. And how will they deal with special projects? If you were listening on Monday, you may remember I had a conversation with, I can play that actually, a conversation with Mike Gambrell about is it right there? Yes, it is. This is on the in-district expense, but it goes to the same thing as far as earmarks, just FYI. It goes to the same thing. So here is the cut with Mike Gambrell, Senator Mike Gambrell, talking about in-district expense.
Nothing wrong with that. No.
What did you think about the in-district expense item?
I was looking forward to it.
I figured you would be.
But here's what people don't understand. We're not only, till the lawsuit gets finalized,
right,
we're not only losing the increase, we're losing the regular what we got.
For real? I didn't realize
yeah, we're not even getting the $1,000.
$1,000.
No, we're not even getting that till this thing's settled. So we're getting nothing.
So what?
So what do I tell little Johnny's softball team that comes up to me and says, I need some sponsor?
Right. Well, I didn't realize that. So,
Oh, yeah.
So if they say we're not going to give you the increase, will you get the? Will you still keep your
You'll go
1,000?
back and get the $1,000. I guess. I mean, I didn't see
think
this
it
thing
was-
coming about the other, where
Did
we
you
wouldn't even
think-
get the $1,000.
Yeah, I didn't know that. I didn't get that out of anything I
Yeah,
had read.
yeah, it was in Post and Courier. I got it last night. They sent out, Jeffrey Gossett, our clerk, sent it out to us yesterday, and it was in the Post and Courier, I think, this morning. But yeah, we didn't up till September. We're probably not even going to get any in-district expense.
So there you go. And then he goes on and talks about how we need to increase the salary to get more. Really what he's saying is more diversity of people into the legislature. But as I pointed out, there's only certain types of people that are able to be part of the legislature as long as they meet for 4 straight months the way they do, 4 days a week. There's no boss that's going to say, sure, take the take the week off and go down and come back and pick up your job when you get a chance. No, that's not going to happen. So, anyways, that's just more on that. But there really does seem to be a distrust, doesn't there, going on in our legislature. So, but the very fact that department heads could now lose their jobs, I guess, if you didn't come back and say, this is what I believe on having you report to me, the governor. So if you didn't do that, I guess you could potentially lose your job. But I also think it's pretty slimy if legislators would go behind the backs to try to get a project, get money sent to a certain district or something for it. So, FYI, I just thought I would bring that up. I think that is a most interesting development. I also think it's a pretty sad state of affairs for our government. So, that's another thing that I think is out there that is most interesting. All right. Let's see. What else do we have here? Okay, let's go back here because I thought I had that already set up. Andre Bauer. Andre Bauer has decided, I knew that this was happening. They were changing up the website. There were things happening. And sure enough, Lindsey Graham gets GOP primary challenger from Andre Bauer, South Carolina's former lieutenant governor. I think that's most interesting that he's decided to go up against Lindsey Graham. He must have... I just kind of think he must have some deep pockets supporting him. So former South Carolina Lieutenant Governor Andre Bauer is mounting a GOP primary challenge to Senator Lindsey Graham, arguing the incumbent isn't conservative enough to represent the state. Bauer, a wealthy developer, is a longtime backer of President Donald Trump. In fact, if President Trump had been reelected in 2020, he had just got approved, I think, in September, October, to be the ambassador to some cushy island. I don't remember what tropical island it was, but he was going to be the ambassador there. Unfortunately, when Biden came in, Andre didn't get his cushy job. So, yes, he does have a relationship. Although Trump has already come out and supported Lindsey Graham. Which, here's the question. Can he, President Trump, change his endorsement as it gets closer to the election? Is he using Lindsey Graham because he needs Lindsey Graham right now? And could he change his endorsement? Here's the answer that I say. Yes, he can. We all know that he can. So it says, Bauer, a wealthy developer, longtime backer of President Donald Trump, His candidacy sets up a midterm grudge match with Graham, a four-term senator whose relationship with Trump has undulated through the years, but who has Trump's endorsement for re-election, and I'm going to add the word right now. Bauer has described himself as a real America First conservative intent on representing what he sees as South Carolina's conservative true values. I think Graham has been there too long and he votes like it, Bauer told the Associated Press Tuesday night. I'm a conservative and I don't think like he does. Republicans dominate South Carolina's statewide elected positions, meaning the most intense political competitions takes place in GOP primaries, and that is so true. Gosh, I could do real well this year. That's right. Graham faces previous primary challengers and yada, yada, yada. To have Andre Bauer jump in, I think is pretty huge, I will say this, I know Andre will work very hard to win this slot. Andre goes in to win it. So Bauer said he understood Trump's need to use Capitol Hill relationships to advance his legislative priorities, like the tax cuts and spending bill that came before the Senate Budget Committee, which Graham chairs, before passing the chamber earlier Tuesday. Trump's got to work and get his bills passed, Bauer said. Lindsey's chairman of a major committee. I get what you have to do. So this is going to be set up a big fight. Now, I have seen some pictures that, in fact, I think I saw them on the Greenwood Republican page that show Andre Bauer with Kamala Harris, and they're trying to make the case what? That Andre isn't a conservative. Well, that was at some meeting that they were having, and of course you're trying to get along with everybody. Bauer served the South Carolina legislature before. At 33, he was elected the youngest lieutenant governor in the country in 2002. After 2 terms, he mounted an unsuccessful 2010 gubernatorial bid, finishing last in a 4-way GOP primary, ultimately won by Nikki Haley. 2 years later, he ran for Congress, losing a GOP runoff to eventual Tom Rice in South Carolina's newly created 7th district. Asked how much his own money he would commit, Bauer declined to give a figure, saying he would put skin in the campaign and looked forward to returning to the trail. I'm going to cover the state like the dew covers Dixie, Bauer said. I think you're going to see a movement. So what do you think about that one? 864-229-7984, 864-229. Anyways, I think that this makes this race interesting. And I, for one, am looking forward to it because I know we'll get Andre Bauer on here. No problem. I've known Andre since when he was the lieutenant governor. He used to come over there to Sharp Facets and sit down, and we'd have some great conversations. So Andre is a card, but Andre is a hard worker. And can he topple Lindsey Graham? That is the question. Anyways, that's what we have going on right here. Another duck on the pond. Quack, quack, quack. We've got another duck on the pond. Lindsey Graham's going to have to keep his eyes open and keep watching because that is what's going on. All right, that's another story that I thought was most interesting, and I, for one, think this is going to be great. I think the advantage that Lindsey Graham has, number one, huge war chest. Number two, huge offices. I mean, he has one whole wing of the building that he's in. He has so much power. And one thing I think the people of South Carolina are going to have to look at. Can you Can you be okay with the way he votes sometimes to have the power that South Carolina has because of Lindsey Graham? So there you go. That's just my personal opinion. Anyways, we will watch this. We will see what happens. It's going to take a lot of money for anybody to topple Lindsey Graham. There's a lot of conversation about it, but who can do it? Can Andre Bauer? I don't know. He has not really been politically involved. I think that could be a plus, but it's also a minus. So we'll see what happens. Could be most interesting. All right, I'm Ann Eller right here with you this morning. We got a couple other stories to talk about here this morning. I wanted to talk about the chicken story. Yes, we now have do we have an ordinance? I think we have an ordinance, or maybe it's on the second reading. I don't remember. Oh no, they approved the ordinance here in Greenwood. Unfortunately, all the roosters are out. No roosters if you're a small backyard chicken raiser. That's right. So here you go. Here's the story on that. I just love these stories. The Greenwood County Council has approved an ordinance that will make it easier for residents to own chickens. Greenwood County previously required anyone owning chickens to be in the residential district and have 3 acres of land. It was brought up by residents, however, that the minimum lot size for a house, 15,000 square feet, while the minimum lot size to have chickens was 3 acres. Carol Coleman, the Greenwood County Planning Director, said, "We are requiring a lot more space for chickens than we were for requiring people." The ordinance proposed that people can keep chickens in their rear yard if they're in a structure at least 10 feet from the property line, and you have a limit of 6 hens and no roosters. The ordinance was passed with unanimous approval. By God, the chickens are in. However, no roosters. No roosters. If there's a rooster in the hen house, we have problems here, folks. I'm going to say something. Somebody's going to say, Ann Eller, I can't believe you said this. This kind of reminds me about the government telling all these people that we'll be your daddy. And we don't want you to be married to anybody else. We can't have any men in your house, but if you're going to get government assistance, and look where we went there. This has not been a good thing. That was back in 1964, I believe it was, with President Johnson and the Great Society. He kicked all the men out of the houses of unmarried women, didn't want them to be there. If you wanted to get assistance for having a family or having help, then you couldn't have a man in your house. Well, here you go. No roosters in the hen house, folks. This is the way it is. I wonder if there'll be assistance for these chickens. I just need to know this. Hey, I'm Ann Eller, kind of in a crazy mood this morning because the news dominates the craziness that we have. Absolutely. All right. So what else have we got here this morning that I wanted to talk about? Let's see. Here we go. Andre Bauer, the Burton Center, the chickens. Okay. Now, I had another story, I thought. Yes. Here we go. The story with McMaster telling him, that is actually huge. What did he tell him? He told the agency heads, in case you're just tuning in, that's why I bring this up, that agency heads had to report if any legislator, any one of our, let's just say it the way it's really meant to be said, any of our slimy legislators try to get money for a pet project in their area. That's really what they're saying, that they have to report that now. Is that a hoot? I just find that a hoot. We are here on WCRS Radio, and one of the comments that came in from one of my great texters who's been on Facebook with us the last couple of days, she said, it's so difficult to get diversity in the legislature or any public office because people keep voting for the same people. Isn't that the truth? Isn't that the truth? We say we want something different, but we keep voting. I think Jim Bohannon used to call it the great paralysis. The great paralysis. He'd talk about, Jim Bohannon died 2, maybe 3 years ago now. I don't remember. 2 years ago, I guess. And I would love to know what Jim Bohannon would be saying right now about what's going on. We do have a supermajority here in South Carolina, where he moved to. I don't know if you knew that. They moved to up Seneca on the lake. They moved up there after being in Washington for years. And Jim Bohannon was, of course, the Jim Bohannon Show, and of course that was always on from 10 to 1. Always loved listening to Jim Bohannon. He had a great voice, and he used to come here to my studio. Actually, he came to my studio when he was in Washington, D.C., but when he moved here to down here to South Carolina, he didn't want to travel anymore. But he actually was a good friend to, it was WLMA and WCRS, helped us with some our radio theater diner projects that we did. He was always a good friend, and I considered him a mentor. He would help me if I texted him and said, Jim, how do I answer this question? And he would always help me. And for ever and ever, I will be indebted to his advice about how to do a show, how to ask the questions, and I really miss him. I really miss him. Every once in a while on our nighttime show with Rich Valdez, which took his place, they play a clip that Jim Bohannon said, and it always brings back a lot of memories if I happen to be listening. All right, so moving on here this morning, though, let's talk about some other issues. I think he'd be quite proud of what I've become if he was here to tell me. So anyways, what else have I got I want to talk about? I did have one more story, but I think we're going to skip over to this one. I heard on WCRS News this morning about a story about a recent survey where they actually commissioned a poll of 2,000 British adults, which revealed that 1 in 10 people would rather doom scroll on their phones than have sex with their partner. Respondents spent an average of 96. I've got the details on this story. They just said that people in the story on the radio, which piqued my interest, they simply said that people would rather scroll on fool with their phone than fool with their partners. And I was like, that sounds like an Ann Eller story. So key findings from the survey. Respondents spend an average of 96 minutes per day doom scrolling, consuming negative comments like world news and celebrity drama, cumulatively 67.4 million hours daily across the UK. About 10% of the participants admitted they chose scrolling over intimacy with their partners. This is a sad state of affairs, folks. Gen Z, which is ages 18 to 27, averaged 2.5 hours a day spent on dooms scrolling. Additionally, approximately 31% of Gen Z preferred digital interactions like sexting over physical intimacy. Negative effects of the habit include mental fatigue, anxiety, decreased productivity, creative loss, and memory problems. All right, so this is what is happening. Negative effects of this habit include mental fatigue, anxiety, decreased productivity, creative creativity lost, and memory problems. To combat this, OnePlus released a web game called Brain Rot Blaster. It's a one-time play, self-defeating, retro-inspired shooter that symbolically pits users against digital distractions like conspiracy theories or celebrity gossip, with the goal of promoting mindful phone use and reclaiming time for meaningful life experiences. I guess like sex with real people, right? In short, yes, that is something that was out there in the news. Can you believe people would rather scroll on their phones than roll around with another individual? This is what the world is coming true. And people think that China is not trying to influence our country. The way I see it, with my twisted mind, since all the phones are basically been produced in China, that China is actually trying to break up the family, totally break up the family, and this is how they plan to take over our country. Yes, that's a conspiracy theory, Ann Eller. It certainly is. What do you think about that one? 864-229-7984. I think that is entirely possible. Entirely possible. And, so I just can't believe some of the stuff that we're putting ourselves through. Do you? That this is what people do. Do you find that you would rather scroll through your phone and rather than fool around with your partner? I mean, I just need to know this. I mean, 864-229-7984, 864-229-7984. Does anybody rather scroll their phone, or are you even willing to admit it? You know, you can be anonymous if you want. I won't say your name on the air. I really won't. You know that. I'll just say you're a texter. Okay, are you a sexter too? That's what I want to know. All right. Oh, if Jeff was here, he'd have a good time with this story. Anyways, that's another thing that's in the news that I liked really a whole lot as far as a story. It looks like they have just come up with, this is just flashing across the TV screens, that yesterday, you know, they could not, the jury for Diddy was not able to reach a total verdict on all the charges. They had reached a partial verdict. The judge sent them back in and said, go work on it some more. You need to have a decision. There was discussion about how this one guy that was a juror had been a problem from the get-go, and so they didn't think they could reach a verdict. He sent them back in. I guess they started at 9 o'clock this morning, and guess what? At 10:15, they have reached their verdict. They want to not come back next week, because I believe they would, if they did not reach the verdict today, they would have to be back on Monday. So they have reached a decision on the RICO Act, which was the first charge. So it'll be interesting to see what happens on this. They have reached a verdict. They will be reading the verdict very soon, and I'm sure that will take over all the news everywhere, as it has been in the news. Speaking about sex, there you go. See, that's a big case right here, and it all revolved around some really disgusting stuff. All right, I've got a couple more things that I wanted to talk about before we finish up here today. What was the other thing? We talked about the chickens are taking over. Was there anything else I really wanted here this morning? Yeah. They are going to be working down there in Washington, D.C., trying to get the votes on the bill through the House. I don't see how they could actually get this done, but, Yeah, and you're right. One of our texters brought up Jimmy Swaggart's passing yesterday, also brought up sex scandals. I thought it was I was really shocked to see that they talk about Jimmy Swaggart and they have to put the sex scandals right with it. I mean, his passing yesterday and all they could bring up about his life was the sex scandals. Very interesting, isn't it? Even so, be careful out there. Maybe that's why people scroll their phones. They feel it's safer in life. Maybe that's just it. Maybe that's just it. All right, I'm Ann Eller. This is WCRS Radio. We are having a good time here this morning. Let's go back and see if we got any more comments here on WCRS Facebook Live. I'm going to tell you what, this Facebook Live is a lot of work, but it is a lot of fun. And I hope that you are enjoying what we're doing here with the Facebook Live. I hope you like the fact that you can go back and watch the show right after it if you missed it. You can also now go right there to our website, WCRS 98.5 FM. Well, I mean, you can go to our website, WCRS1450am.net. That's WCRS 1450am.net. You should be able to view the shows that evening, if not the first thing in the morning. But you can always go back to Facebook if you missed the show and watch it again. So please check out that feature that we've added. I think that's added a lot of value on our website. Now, for what else do we have to say here this morning? I had a good time yesterday talking about the Palmetto Innovation Technology Center that is being built over there in Due West. It really is an amazing facility. There is a huge article in the Index Journal today talking about the nuts and bolts of it, but you heard it first right here on WCRS Radio. What else do we have? Anything else we need to talk about? I do want to mention a couple of things that are coming up on Friday. This is something maybe you don't know about, but coming up this Friday, July 4th, from 9:30 to 10 at our Veteran Center in Uptown Greenwood, they are having a launch for Greenwood County's upcoming events on our nation's historic milestone, our 250th anniversary. That'll be this Friday, July 4th, time 9:30 to 10. It's just half an hour. And they say location, Greenwood County Veteran Center, and the celebration will include, I love this, performance featuring a Cherokee Native American flutist or flautist. I'm not sure. There's two ways to say it. Guest speakers include historical reenactors. You'll be able to witness the history come alive with a stirring, dramatic reading of the Declaration of Independence. You know, I think sometimes we don't give enough credit to the Declaration of Independence, but that was the start of it all. I mean, we have a Constitution, but without our Declaration of Independence, where would we have been? Would we have been able to make that next step? So, this will be going on this coming Friday, 9:30 to 10. It is free and open to the public. And yes, you are encouraged to bring your children or grandchildren to this. Great way to start off the day. And that is brought to you by the Greenwood County SC 250 Coalition that is working hard to bring a lot of different activities as we get ready to celebrate. It's going to be huge when we celebrate our 250th anniversary. So, I was just looking up there to see people running out of the courthouse. Comes with possible prison of... Okay, I can't read what it says. We'll have to check that out. But anyways, the Diddy trial, which has been going on for weeks, they have reached a verdict, and it'll be interesting Sean Diddy Combs found guilty on 2 counts. That's what's flashing up here on the screen, but there were a lot more counts, so that's kind of interesting. I would have thought they would have found him guilty on more counts, but 2 counts. Not guilty on the racketeering. Oh my goodness, not guilty on the racketeering and conspiracy one, which I think was the biggest one. So how about that? They are doing this in live time, and we are on the radio seeing it in live time right now. Sex trafficking by force, fraud, and coercion, not guilty on that one. I don't know how many charges he had, but they did find him guilty on 2 counts. 2 counts. What will it mean for a prison sentence? He could get prison on it. He did find guilty on transportation to engage in prostitution. They found him guilty on that one. And what is the other ones? They said they found him guilty on 2. We might as well stay and see what they're saying here. Well, that's the one guilty. Sex trafficking, not guilty on sex trafficking by force, fraud, or coercion. You know, that video that they had of his girlfriend where he was kicking her in the hotel and she was trying to get on the elevator. I don't know how you couldn't call that some of the things, but this is what they are. Transportation to engage in prostitution, I guess, is the other one that they found. I don't know what those hold for charges. We'll have to find out and see. Anyways, I'm Ann Eller right here on WCRS Radio. Please like and share what I did here this morning. If you've got a comment, please make a comment. I love all your comments right here on WCRS Radio. Let me know, 864-229-7984. Comment on the live video. That always helps me, and really appreciate the fact that you are watching and being part of the show. I hope if you are going out of town, I hope you have a good weekend. Be safe out there. If you're going to be around, I'll be around. I did have one story I was going to share with you. I did have one last story I'm going to share. Okay, so my hairdresser of 30 plus years has had some health issues, and he hasn't been able to do my hair. And a few weeks ago, I said, what am I going to do? I need to do something. This is getting a little outrageous. So he recommended somebody, so I called her up and I went to her, and she did a great job, and, I was able to continue with my hair the way I like it and everything. So he's still not well, and so I had an appointment with the gal who had done it right after when he couldn't do it. And so I go walking in the hair salon yesterday afternoon because I'm anticipating, and I said, where is so-and-so? And they said, oh, she broke her shoulder. She's not going to be here today. I'm going to do your hair. I felt I was a little depressed. I was like, what's going on here? Anyways, I've now been through 3 hairdressers, and guess what? They've all done a great job. So what the heck? All these years, I've been ultimately loyal, thinking only this one person can do my hair. Just to find out, I've now had one, my original guy, another gal, and now another gal do my hair, and they all did a great job. So there you go. It just shows change can happen, Ann Eller, even if you don't think you can do it. That, my friends, is going to do it for me. I hope you have a great day. This is WCRS right here in Greenwood, South Carolina. That's it. That's a wrap. Have a great weekend, everybody. I will be back tomorrow. I'll actually be back this afternoon with Gibson Hill and Katie Hamilton talking about all the upcoming rules, regulations, and stuff that's going to be happening with the Festival of Discovery and Blues Cruise. Stay here with me, and you will hear all about it coming up at 5 o'clock this afternoon. Let's take it away. Have a good one. Oh, Lord, here we go. Take it away.